previous videos, we explored how to create the north and south framing plans. In this one, we're going to take a look at the west wall. So just one thing to kind of take a look at with our tiny home design. I have one window here in my west wall. If I select it, I can see that it's a 24 inch by 36 inch or a 2 foot by 3 foot window. And here it's got a sill height of 3 feet. If I have that selected and then move to my west elevation, you're going to see it's going to stay selected and it shows me some details about this window. Here, I'm going to make this a permanent dimension. So if I click off of there, we're going to have a 3 foot sill height, which is what it showed in the properties palette. If I select the align dimension tool from the quick access toolbar, I can actually click the middle of the window and click the edge of the wall there. I can see it's a 6 foot from that edge of that wall. And then if I use like the inside edges here, because this is just some trim to kind of clean up the window, make it look a little bit better, I can see there's where we get the 2 foot by 3 foot. So some of that information is going to be very helpful. The other thing too is we're going to worry about is when we create this wall, we got to worry about the other walls and how they assemble to it. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the View tab. I'm going to go to Drafting View. We're going to go ahead and call this the west wall framing plan. Make sure that it's set to 1/2 inch equals a foot and select OK. So in order to start this off, I'm going to go ahead and move to the Annotate tab and then click the detail line and choose a rectangle. This one I'm going to go ahead and set it. It's going to be a 16-foot wall. So for our sole plate, and then we're going to go ahead and have 0 space 1 and 1/2 inches. So there's the sole plate. Now, a lot of your experienced carpenters are going to probably, or some people that know how to build a lot of these buildings are going to go, now we can't make that 16 foot, and we're right, because we got to worry about the thickness of the other walls when we go to put it together. So actually, what I'm going to end up doing is we're going to go ahead and proceed with, I'm going to go ahead and do an offset. We're going to go ahead and make sure we set for the stud height, which is going to be 92 and 5/8 of an inch. Let's go ahead and get the height set in. So there's where that's going to be where a lot of our studs. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to the Annotate tab, grab that detail line. I'm going to go ahead and connect a line from here to here and grab one on the other end too. Now, while I've got the 16-foot length here, I'm going to go ahead and select this line and I'm going to do an offset. And we want to go for every 24 inches or 2 foot, we want to go ahead and place our studs. So I'm going to go ahead and click and place, very similar like how we did on our north framing plan video. And you're probably going to notice that I really didn't mess with putting anything here on the edges yet because I'm just placing the middle studs. I'm going to offset one more time. This time I'm going to go with a 3/4 of an inch thickness, and we're going to go ahead and go on the inside of, or on each side, I should say, of these lines here on the middle. So again, adding in the thickness for our studs, and then we'll get rid of those center lines here in just a second. So once I'm done placing those, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to delete these center lines because we really don't need those anymore. We'll have the thickness of our studs being put in there. Now, we haven't really figured out what exactly we're doing for the window, which is fine. We're going to come back to that. Okay. So the thing is that we want to do here is probably start to figure out that we know one thing here is that the length of this wall or the length of this line that we've got going on here is going to be, I'm going to zoom in and have to grab this, it's going to be 16 foot. Now, the only problem with that is it's like, okay, that's cool, but we got to worry about the thickness of the other walls. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to select this line. I want to offset again. We do want to provide the thickness of those walls, which is 3.5 inches. And I want to go on the inside of that. And that's actually where we're going to start. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Now, in order to kind of make that happen, then I want to go ahead and get rid of this line. And I want to get rid of this outer line. So, because our wall is actually going to start from this edge here. Okay. Same kind of scenario. What I can do here is I can actually grab this and trim that back. If you go too far, it may say to unjoin the elements. Let me just hit cancel. Sometimes zooming in really helps, and then you can hit right on the corner of the line. The other thing that'll help too is if you want to, select this line, choose the split element tool, razor cut it, and then get rid of the little portion there. And that helps too. Okay, same kind of thing is our sill plate or our sole plate is going to have to come back. So you can see that when we bring this back here, we're actually going to be now to 15 foot 5 inches. So which is where we actually want our particular wall to be. All right, I'm going to do an offset. This is going to be now be, again, a 1 1/2 inch. So I'm going to go on the inside, double studs. On the inside here, double studs. Everything's looking pretty good. And then even on for my top plate, I can put one here and I can put a double top plate. Now, the only thing is on my double top plate, this one here is actually going to be, the length of this is actually going to be 16 foot. So if I select that line and change the length of it, you'll see it stick out a little bit here. So I'm going to go ahead and do annotate, detail line. I'm going to grab up to this point to do that. And then I'm actually going to draw out and connect to here. So that way I see a 3.5 inch piece sticking out. And that's where we're going to grab. Okay, same thing on the other side, click. And then I'm going to go ahead and come down. And then there we go. So there's our 16 foot wall. Again, the really, it's a 15 foot 5, but this is what we're looking for. Okay. Now, if you kind of take a look, again, our 6 foot kind of offset here, I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to click on this vertical line here, and I'm going to go ahead and do an offset. So we had like a 6 foot for the window. So I'm actually going to go ahead and put this over to here. So you'll see there's the line right there. That right there is where the middle of our window is going to be. So actually we're probably going to be taking a lot of this stud out. So a couple other offsets we can do is if I select, again, from the bottom of that sill plate, we're going to do an offset of 3 feet. The bottom of our window is going to be right about there. And then on each side of this 6 foot option, we saw that it was a 2 foot by 3 foot. So the longer portion was definitely a lot taller. So my 3 foot's already set. Let me go ahead and go off of this one again. There's where the top of the window should be. And then if I end up doing the 2 foot, it should just be a foot on each side of this line here. So I'll see a line here and I'll see a line there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this line. I'm going to grab the end, the little blue dot, and I'm going to drag it down until it comes down into this portion here. Same thing on the other side until it meets this line. And what I can do with some of this is, like, for example, I can actually grab the blue dots, very similar to what we did before, and I want to kind of, and even then if we want to select it, you can see I have just a little trouble trying to keep that going. But I can just split the line, maybe split it right here, split it right there. There's this line. I can go ahead and delete it. I can delete this one. And then, so there's the top of the window. I can get rid of this little line that's representing the 6 foot marker. Very similar to what we can kind of do in this case too. I can go ahead and select this line, split, click on this little edge, click on this little edge. Notice how it's still together, so I might have to split one more time. There we go. Let me see where we're at here. Okay, that one gets away. Looks like I got to do this one more time. So that's one thing, just kind of knowing how Revit is going to handle that is probably good. So I'll get rid of this portion. So there's my window. One thing I might want to do is do a little offset for this line. So that's the top of the window. I'm going to probably put in a 7 1/4 inch dimension, so which is going to be a 2x8 header. So I'll put that header in, and then what I can do here is I can start to see, like, all right, well, I'm going to need the rest of this cripple stud there, but I can trim. I can click here and click to these points. So there's my header being put in that particular scenario. Okay, so my window's being framed in here. I can do a little, from this line, I can do a little offset. I want to do 1.5 inches. I need for a trimmer stud, and I need for a full length stud. Now the best part is, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side here and here. So what I might do is for this line, I need to come out until it connects like this, and I need to do the same thing here. So that's going to represent, and the same thing on this top line, and the same thing here. So there we go. So these are going to, this is going to kind of be the header, and for this, I really don't need this line, and for this one, I really don't need this line. So probably from my splitting. So I can do like trim, extend multiple elements. I do want these two lines to connect to here. So there is where it's supporting my header. And then now if I hit cancel once, I can do this again. I'm going to click this top line. I want these two outer lines to come to support there. And then even then, I can also click these lines again and to be able to show that this is the outside edge of that king stud there. All right, I'm going to cancel once, multiple, trim, extend multiple elements, click this bottom one, click these. Okay, so looks like I do need to do these inside ones too. And here's where I end up having, you know, my window framed out, and I do need a little sill in here. So let's just do a little offset. 1.5 inches should look pretty good. We'll put that in there for our sill. Once we have the sill put in, I can also do, probably the easiest thing to do is go to the Annotate tab, click on Detail Line, kind of line up and track. There we go. Click when I get to where I want it. Same thing here. I can go ahead and line up and track. There we are. And there's my cripple stud on the bottom to kind of help with some of that. All right, and then here I can go ahead and get rid of this dimension, but this should be a good start for a west wall framing plan. A little bit of work there to get some of the, get everything correct, but we should be in good shape to be able to start putting this together. The only thing is that I did forget, we probably need to grab a detail line. And so as I was talking, I saw that. I'm gonna go ahead and put in these cripple studs up above there, right above the trimmers. There we go. That looks a lot better. So there's our framing plan for our west wall for our tiny home.